morning. Today is Wednesday. This is December 7th. The year is 2022. This is day 3 of the rain over here. Ain't nothing like taking 2 dogs out to come back in soaking wet and throw them in them damn cages. Last night, I let them out of those cages. The dogs pissed all over this fucking house. I'm not doing that anymore. I was calling myself being nice because it was raining outside, so let them out for a little. Let them out to run around for a little bit. I took them outside. I let them dry off. I let them out the cages, and they proceeded to have Piss Fest 2022. So they're back in them cages again. And here's the funny part. They'll be sitting right next to me. I'll be in Sweet Little Angels, and they'll sneak off someplace. And I'll look down and say, where y'all? Ginger, Grace, where y'all at? So as soon as I go look around the corner, they done peed. They peed on the kitchen, in the living room, in the dining room, in the bathroom, upstairs, downstairs. I said, okay, what the fuck is going on? So I put them in the cages and proceed to scrub up the house yesterday. It's nice and clean now, and they're going to be trapped in them cages. I'm not playing. Enough of this mess. They're going to learn to go outside, use the bathroom only. And now, Grayson's running around throwing his leg up somewhere, everything. There's a term for when dogs do this. Marking the spots or something like that. He everywhere. So I'm like, okay. So if you hear them whining in the background because they're back in their cages, I just took them outside. They did use the bathroom. Both did their business. And back in them cages they go. One of my friends suggested I might want to take some treats, and when they pee and use the bathroom outside, give them a treat. I never thought about that, so I think that's what I'm going to do to keep them from coming inside the house taking care of business in here. There's nothing worse than a house that smells like dogs and cats. I hate that mess. And so I keep this place very clean. I spray it down with this dog odor, urine control mess. Yeah. Anybody want to adopt these dogs, let me know. They're free. Anyway, that news report that you just saw out of Philadelphia, which is Welcome to Niggaville, y'all, the Philly edition. Now, y'all know, to be honest with you all, I would gladly shop at a gas station with that type of security, with those types of rifles, AR-15s or 14, whatever they're called. I don't have a problem with it. I'll go there every day. In fact, they need to have those guards standing out there outside Kroger's, at the gas stations, at any ATM machines, any place where there's a propensity for people to come to rob or harass or injure someone. Quick Trip need to have them at all their gas stations. I don't have no problem with that. That man sitting out there with that rifle, and of course he may not have to use the rifle, but just the presence of that security offer, armed security, that big-ass rifle, I don't think we have to worry about too many criminals running up into that gas station when they need that foolishness. And I don't know what them people talking about in that news report. That must have they didn't like it. I don't know why they didn't like it. I loved it. I was like, can you come stand outside my house? You stand right there on that front porch. Because I don't see any issue with armed security at a place where you have thousands of customers coming in out every day. And we know at these gas stations, we already know there's been some very deadly incidents all over the United States. So I think this particular owner of this gas station is doing the right thing. It needs to be done more often. Here's the crazy part. When I went to Mexico a few years back, and we were walking past the bank, literally I saw those police stand outside those banks in Mexico with those big rifles like that, armed security. You ain't gonna rob no bank down there. So it'd be interesting to see. I definitely think more businesses should hire those types of guards to protect those businesses, especially where there is a problem. To be honest with you, I think schools should have that type of security outside of the schools, outside these schools, to armed security guards just like that to keep these school shootings from happening. I would be very confident if I had children. Send my children to school. I would definitely send my children to that school if there was that type of protection. I ain't got no children. Thank the Lord, I ain't that stupid, honey. Only crazy people have children in this day and age. Isn't it kind of weird? The people who have children, you say, the people who are having children really don't need to have these kids. This is a little side note there. But is it just me that just notices that the ones who have all these kids, family members and friends, you say, whoa, man, you don't need no kids. And they have more. I got 2 more on the way. It's like, okay, you didn't need the first 5 you got. But anyway, back to the subject matter at hand. I believe that that owner of that gas station is well within his rights to protect his property and to protect customers and protect people in the store and protect people coming in there and destroying his business. So I don't see any issue with it. You freeze the tap and have an electrician over here. As with anything, a few days ago, some lights stopped working. And I said, what's wrong with these damn lights? So they had to get the electrician over here, and he's looking around, fiddling around, trying to correct that issue. And also he's putting some outlets on the exterior of the house. There's always going to be something with these houses. And we knew that there was an issue with some of the old electrical that we didn't fool with, but now we got to fix it. So I'm like, okay, we're fixing this shit now. So he's in there, he'll be here all day. I've actually waited for a whole week for him to get here, which is fine. Take your time and get it fixed and do it right. But it is a whole house, so that's to be expected that there are going to be issues here that we're going to have to deal with. And, you know, I knew when I bought this old raggedy house that there would be problems. But I definitely, back to the subject, man, I keep getting off track here. I definitely think that also. Oh, there's another story, too. In Clayton County, a man was driving down the street and he accidentally hit a guy. I guess they were walking in the street or something. Maybe they crossed the street in front of his car. He hit the guy, injured him. It was two guys walking on the street, and they were brothers. Unfortunately, when he hit the guy, he got out of the car to make sure everything was okay. The other guy shot and killed the guy who was driving the car. This happened in Clayton County off Terra Boulevard, somewhere off Mount Zion Road. I'm very familiar with that area because Mount Zion is the LA Fitness down there. Can you imagine accidentally hitting somebody in your car? Nothing done on purpose. They didn't ran out in front of the car or crossing the street in the road, probably someplace they shouldn't have been. You know, these people. He hit the guy. The guy was injured. He's still alive in the hospital, but his brother decided to take it upon himself and shoot and kill the driver of that car. And you can pull up the story. I was trying to download the news report. It was such a brief snippet, but I think I did say, oh, here it is. Cops arrest man in Murrow. This was in Murrow. Man arrested days after fatally shooting driver who hit his brother in Murrow. A murder suspect was arrested Tuesday in Marietta, several days after he fatally shot a driver who hit and injured his brother as the two were walking in Clayton County. Jonathan Johnson, 20 years of age, is accused of shooting a driver 8 times after the pedestrian crash. Friday left his brother critically injured. Morrow police said Johnson's brother, John Johnson III, was taken to Grady Memorial Hospital where he remains. So his brother's alive. Officers were called to the 1500 block of Mount Zion Road just before 10 p.m. after getting reports of a person hit by a vehicle. At the scene, they found John Johnson, who was unresponsive, and the shooting victim, 28-year-old Ann Tremico Williams. Williams was the registered owner of the car and involved in the crash and was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators collected 13 shell casings at the location, according to the police. Of the 8 gunshots that hit Williams, 2 struck him in the head, including one in the temple. Witnesses said Jonathan Johnson screamed at Williams as the two stood over his injured brother. According to police, the fight ended when Johnson pulled a handgun from the back of his waistband and shot Williams at close range. Johnson fled the scene, leaving his brother and Williams lying in the road. Investigators were able to identify Johnson and took out arrest warrants from him, and they went and arrested him. Clayton County to me is a very dangerous place to be because there's just too much. This is a very bad element out there, and there's no way. I've learned that when you're in these neighborhoods driving through, you have to be very careful because any infraction, whether it's a traffic accident or you hit a pedestrian. A few years back, some of y'all might remember this story. It was in Milwaukee. A man accidentally hit and killed a child who was in the middle of the street. I think it was some type of holiday, maybe it's 4th of July, Memorial Weekend, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what day it was. But I remember this man accidentally hit and killed this child in the street. And one of the child's uncle ran out the house and shot and killed the guy who was driving the car. And then he ended up later on committing suicide. When I tell y'all I don't drive through these hood rat neighborhoods, if I do, I'm creeping. Because they don't care about running out in the streets. Have you ever seen these people, kids, and they don't have any common sense to know to keep their ass out the street. They just run out in the street in front of your car and they don't care and walk down the middle of the street. I'm sure we've all seen this in these areas. I couldn't be the only person who's witnessed these children and grown adults out in the middle of the street just wandering around, walking across the street without any regard to the cars passing by them. It's almost like have a exactly. I said, dare me. I dare you to hit me. Be very careful driving around these areas over in Niggaville, so you too won't end up. That story really bothered me, and the story in Philadelphia also, with the way they tore this man's gas station up. Y'all, I can't do Niggaville. I just can't do it. Y'all welcome to live whatever you want to, but I'm not living around a bunch of heathens. I'm not doing it. Been there, done that, can write a book about it, and ain't gonna do it no more. I'm not going to live any place where my life where I don't feel safe. Whether you're driving down the street or any type of incident, I personally would be very careful in certain areas. Because they don't get these guys that boy pulled out that gun and shot that man. I'm sure that man did not purposely mean to hit his brother with that car. I'm going to try to find some more articles about that. I was trying to find a video about it. There was this little small video, and I couldn't download it because it was too small. But the man who was killed, his brother was killed just a few years ago in 2019 from gun violence also. Y'all, if y'all want to live a healthy, normal life, you got to get out certain areas. You just have to. You cannot remain in those areas. You cannot raise your children in those areas. You cannot, everybody's complaining about these areas that went through gentrification. To be honest with you all, those neighborhoods were unfit for people with children to move into. And I'm not going to go into too much detail right here because I'm going to do a video about this, but certain areas like Kirkwood and East Atlanta, East Atlanta, East Lake was so bad. The only people who really moved, what changed those neighborhoods were gay people moving in there who had no kids and renovated those houses. And now you have, 20 years later, more families moving back into these neighborhoods. And the home prices, of course, have escalated through the roof in East Lake and Kirkwood. You can see homes over there for $1 million, close to $1 million. So those neighborhoods are unsafe for families to move into, and that's why so many black families moved out of those neighborhoods. And when they went through gentrification, it's only because gays, white and black gays who had no children, or single people, took the chance of moving back into these neighborhoods and buying these homes for reasonably cheap prices. Y'all know these neighborhoods are unsafe, but that's another video. I'm going to kind of get off topic there, but I would love to read you all's thoughts and what you think about the armed security guard at that gas station. Would you shop there? Would you go to a place if they had armed security? I know I would. I'd be right there. Hey, man, going on in and about. Feel safe. Prayerfully, I do believe that presence of that armed security guard with that big-ass AR-15 rifle will keep them nigglets away from these places of business trying to do carjackings, slider attacks, and robberies, and theft from the store. So I definitely think this owner of this gas station is doing the right thing, and it needs to happen on a lot more businesses. I would like to see this happen at schools, banks, grocery stores, anywhere where there's especially schools. I would love that. Definitely needs to be a presence. That type of presence needs to be at these schools, and I think it would probably eliminate a lot of these school shootings that we've seen in recent years. Again, this is just my thoughts and opinions. Don't mind me no attention. I'm just a crazy man on the internet. Today is Wednesday, December the 7th, the year 2022. Just a quick little video. I'm going to try to find a video about the guy who was killed in Clayton County. I'm going to look for that now. Look forward to you all reading y'all comments and thoughts. And congratulations to Mr. Warnock for winning the state Senate seat here, the first African American elected to a position from Georgia, elected, well, for 6 years. So you got a 6-year ride now. Unlike knowing your paycheck is guaranteed for 6 years. Ooh, I just got to show up there and vote. I'm here. Paid on Friday. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, today is Wednesday, December 7th, the year 2022. I'm out of here and enjoy the rest of your day, and I might be back later to discuss something else.